They never expected you to see behind the curtain. They thought you were too focused, too grounded, too loyal to notice what was moving behind your back. But oh, how wrong they were. Because even when you say nothing, you see everything. Even when you act calm, your spirit is collecting every detail, every vibration, every silence that speaks louder than words. And now, a secret that was never meant to reach you has arrived. A secret that someone, perhaps a close friend, a family member, a lover, or even a business partner, tried to bury deep beneath layers of smiles, distractions, and lies. But the universe has other plans. Because when karma is ready to deliver truth, not even the cleverest mask can hold. And this truth, Capricorn, isn't just a minor detail. It's a revelation that will shift the direction of your path forever. It will make you question everything you've built, everyone you've trusted. But it will also unlock a door you weren't supposed to find until now. And I know what you're thinking. Why now? Why not before the damage was done? Because sometimes, my dear Capricorn, your soul needed to grow through the damage, not be shielded from it. That's what makes you different. You don't shatter when you're lied to, you awaken. You don't collapse when betrayed, you calculate, rebuild, and rise with deeper vision than ever before. And right now, the universe is putting the final puzzle piece in your hand. But what will you do with it? Because this secret, the one that was never meant to reach you, is going to force a choice. Stay loyal to the story you were told, or step fully into the version of you that's no longer willing to be manipulated. The rest of this video is for the ones ready to make that step. The ones who've felt it, but couldn't explain it. The ones who've smiled through silence, carried the weight of others, and now are finally about to learn the truth behind it all. So lean in. What's been exposed was hidden for a reason. But what it reveals will change everything. Part 1. The whisper they thought you'd never hear. Capricorn. Let's begin where most people ignore, in the silence. You see, secrets don't always come out in loud arguments or dramatic confessions. Sometimes they live in the pause. That moment when someone avoids your eyes. When a voice hesitates before giving an answer. When plans suddenly change for no reason. And you feel it, don't you? That invisible thread tugging at your intuition, saying, they're not telling you the whole truth. It may have started with something small. A strange message they hid on their phone. A financial detail that didn't add up. A family member going quiet around you after always being close. Capricorn, here's the truth. Someone close to you has been hiding something, not because you couldn't handle it, but because they knew the moment you found out, they would lose control over your loyalty. Because your loyalty is rare. Your consistency, your reliability, it's a currency. People build entire empires on your support. But they forget something. You're not blind. You're patient. And now that secret is out, not by accident, but by cosmic timing. The divine waited for your strength to catch up with your clarity. And now, the veil is dropping. Story interlude, the assistant who was more capable than her boss. Let me tell you about someone I knew, we'll call her Elise. She was a Capricorn through and through, focused, reliable, showed up early, left late, and built everything in silence. Her boss, all charisma, took credit for everything, kept her just close enough to be useful, but never promoted her, never acknowledged her as the backbone. But Elise knew. She watched. And one day, she discovered an email that wasn't meant for her, a message that proved her boss had sabotaged her chance for promotion, not once, but twice. That was the moment everything changed. She didn't confront. She didn't cry. She began to plan. Today, Elise owns her own firm. The boss who once minimized her now works under someone Elise mentored. That's Capricorn energy. It's not revenge. It's elevation. The lesson for you. Capricorn, the secret that has been exposed in your life is not here to destroy you. It's here to wake you up. Whether it's a partner who's been emotionally distant while acting fine, a friend who's been competing with you in silence, or a family member who's been feeding your fears while pretending to support you. What matters now is what you do with this truth. Because you're not who you were last year. You're not naive. You're not afraid of the truth. You've been waiting for a sign to move forward, and this is it. Life lesson: the Capricorn way of discovery. Capricorns don't react, they respond. They don't panic, they plan. They don't gossip, they grow silently. Let others fall from the tower they built on lies. You're building foundations in truth, in clarity, in power. And now that you know the truth, you can finally stop pretending. Part 2. When the truth hurts, but frees you forever. Capricorn. Let's not pretend this didn't hurt. Yes, you're strong. Yes, you saw signs. Yes, your intuition whispered, again and again. But when the truth finally arrived, when it revealed itself so plainly, so undeniably, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like betrayal. Because it wasn't just the secret that stung. It was who kept it from you. Someone you showed up for. Someone you trusted. Someone who had access to your vulnerable side, the side you don't let many see. That's what made this moment so heavy. Because you don't hand out your loyalty casually. And when you give it, you give deeply, fully. You become the one who protects, who invests, who stays. But now, that loyalty has a bruise. And the bruise isn't just on your heart, it's on your belief system. You're asking questions you didn't want to ask. How long did they lie? What else don't I know? How could I not see it sooner? But Capricorn, this pain is not your punishment. It's your portal. Let me tell you something few people talk about. Most Capricorns are not afraid of pain. You've dealt with disappointment since childhood. People leaned on you too early, expected you to hold things together, rewarded you for being the one who never breaks. So you became the fortress, the provider, the planner. But you were never taught how to grieve betrayal, especially when it comes quietly, hidden behind polite smiles and familiar hands. You carry the weight, but you never scream. That's why this truth has hit harder than most. Because it challenged your silence. It reached a place even you forgot was still wounded. And yet, this is where your liberation begins. There's something sacred about betrayal. Not in what it does to you, but in what it reveals about who you've become. Because now, you see clearly. Now, the illusions are gone. Now, you're free to stop explaining yourself, defending your worth, or making excuses for people who never deserved your grace. And I want you to hear this deeply. You didn't lose anything real. You lost the lie. You lost the performance. You lost what was never going to honor you. What you gained is yourself. Let's take a real moment here. Imagine walking into a room filled with fog. For years, you've rearranged the furniture, cleaned the floor, lit candles, doing everything you can to make it feel safe, feel right. Then one day, the fog lifts. And you realize the furniture was never yours. The walls were cracked. The door was never locked from the inside. You were trying to fix a space that was never meant to hold you. That's what this exposed truth is doing now. It's clearing the fog. It's showing you what was always broken and what was never your job to fix. Life lesson from part 2. Capricorn, sometimes your healing won't come through understanding the lie. It will come through releasing your need to repair what broke you. You're not here to be the emotional architect of everyone's ruin. You're here to build a future that honors your truth. So cry if you need to. Sit with the shock. Let it pass through you. But once it does, and it will, you'll find yourself standing taller, lighter, clearer. Not because you never got hurt, but because you finally stopped carrying what was never yours. Part 3. The power of emotional boundaries and why Capricorn must stop explaining themselves. Capricorn, you've spent years trying to be understood, explaining your silence, justifying your distance, softening your strength so others wouldn't feel intimidated. But here's the truth that this exposed secret has finally brought into sharp focus. You don't need to be understood. You need to be respected. And there's a difference. See, when you spend your energy trying to explain yourself, especially to people who have already decided not to see you clearly, you dilute your own power. You bend. You shrink. You over-clarify, all for the sake of keeping peace that was never real. But Capricorn, you were not built for smallness. You were built for structure, for mastery, for purpose. And that purpose is not to explain your soul to those who lack the depth to hold it. Let me tell you what happens when a Capricorn sets boundaries. People get uncomfortable. Why? Because they were never prepared for you to choose yourself. They got used to you saying yes. Used to you over-delivering. Used to your silence being permission. But the moment you say no more, the moment you say I'm not available for that anymore, they will call you cold, distant, selfish. And you know what? Let them. Because you're not available for manipulation disguised as closeness. You're not here to serve everyone's convenience at the expense of your soul. You've done your time, Capricorn. You've given. You've sacrificed. Now, you're being called to protect your energy like it's sacred land, because it is. Let's talk about the quiet cost of over-explaining. Every time you explain your feelings to someone who refuses to listen, you betray yourself. Every time you justify your boundaries, your pace, your solitude to someone who has no intention of honoring it, you drain your life force. And what for? To be understood by someone who has never even taken the time to ask how you're really doing. Capricorn, your presence is not an open invitation. It's a private sanctuary. Not everyone gets access. Not everyone deserves the tour. Here's the turning point. You don't owe access to people just because they've known you a long time. Time doesn't equal alignment. Blood doesn't equal loyalty. Memories don't guarantee a future. And love, true love, doesn't demand the sacrifice of your emotional safety. That's why this exposed secret is so powerful. Because it reminds you, your energy is a resource. And every time you pour it into someone who's proven they can't protect it, you rob your future self. You've done enough explaining. Now, it's time to let your boundaries do the talking. Life lesson from part 3. Capricorn, emotional boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They don't block love. They protect it. They don't isolate you. They preserve your peace. Stop explaining yourself to those who listen only to reply. Speak in silence and watch who respects the stillness. The people meant for you will never ask you to shrink your soul just to make them comfortable. Part 4. Karmic consequences when the ones who betrayed you begin to fall. Capricorn. There's a moment, quiet, undeniable, when you begin to see the scales of the universe shift. It doesn't come with thunder. It doesn't come with chaos. It arrives slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, but you feel it. Something is changing. The person who once dismissed you suddenly faces losses they can't explain. The one who lied now finds themselves surrounded by distrust. The group that once excluded you is now breaking apart from within. And it's not because you wished for it. It's because energy always comes back home. What they sowed in shadow is now being harvested in daylight. Let's pause here. You may think, but I never wanted them to suffer. I just wanted peace. Exactly. That's why the universe chose you for this journey. Because karmic justice doesn't need revenge, it needs witnesses. And you, Capricorn, have always been the quiet observer. You watched. You waited. You trusted the process. You handled betrayal with grace even when it tore at your core. And that grace became your power. Let me give you a real moment to reflect. Imagine someone trying to bury a seed in the dark, hoping no one would see it. But instead of the seed dying, it grows. Quietly, steadily, until it breaks through the soil and reaches the sky. That seed was you. They tried to suppress your potential with manipulation, lies, control, and fear. But they underestimated something essential. Capricorn does not crumble under pressure. Capricorn becomes sharper, clearer, unshakable. So now, the people who pushed you aside are being forced to face the truth, not because you exposed them, but because the universe did. You might be noticing signs already. Someone who once had power over you is suddenly quiet. A manipulator is losing influence. Someone who betrayed your trust is facing a wave of isolation, judgment, or loss. And you may feel conflicted. Because part of your heart still wants to understand them. Still wants to believe they didn't mean harm. Still hopes they find healing. But Capricorn, their healing is no longer your responsibility. You've carried their weight long enough. What you're witnessing now is not cruelty. It's balance. Not punishment, but purification. And sometimes, the best thing you can do for someone's soul is to let them face their reflection. Here's what matters most right now. This is not your moment to step back into old roles. Don't become the fixer again. Don't rush in with explanations. Don't try to soften the blow that was never yours to absorb. This time, let the universe handle its own justice. And you, focus on building, on healing, on anchoring into the version of yourself that no longer tolerates energetic debt. You've paid enough. Now, it's time to receive. Life lesson from part 4. Capricorn, when karma begins to move, your only job is to stay still. Let truth rise. Let illusions fall. Let people face the outcomes they created. Your energy was never the weapon, it was the mirror. And now that mirror is showing them everything they tried to deny. Hold your peace. Hold your power. And walk forward without looking back. Part 5. Sacred rebuilding, turning emotional ruins into a new empire. Capricorn. You've seen the cracks. You've heard the silence that revealed too much. You've felt the ground beneath you shift after the truth was exposed. But now comes the most powerful part of your journey. Not the fall. Not the betrayal, but the rebuilding. Because if there's one thing Capricorn was born to do, it's to rise from ruins and build empires on ground others ran from. You see, most people think healing is about returning to what was. It's not. True healing is about creating something so aligned with who you are now, that what you used to tolerate becomes unrecognizable. You don't go back. You don't rebuild the same house. You design a new blueprint from new values, new clarity, and new boundaries. And this time, Capricorn, you're not building for approval. You're not building for safety. You're building for truth. Let me share something with you. There was once a Capricorn woman, we'll call her Maya. She had everything. A stable marriage, a high-paying job, a beautiful house. But she had a secret. She was exhausted. She was invisible. She was bending herself into silence just to keep the illusion going. Until one day, she found an old notebook from her 20s, a page where she wrote, "I want to build something that's fully mine. I want to wake up and feel free." That sentence hit her like lightning, because nothing in her current life reflected that dream. So she walked away, not recklessly, but with purpose. She downsized her life, restarted her career, started painting again, and today, she runs a design studio built entirely from her vision. She didn't rebuild what broke her. She built what freed her. That's the Capricorn magic. And now it's your turn. You've got the clarity. You've got the pain turned wisdom. And now, you've got space. So ask yourself, what do I want to build now? What version of me is ready to lead? What structures no longer deserve my foundation? Because Capricorn, you don't rebuild as a reaction. You rebuild as a creator. This is your sacred reconstruction. It starts small. Changing how you wake up. Changing the way you spend your time. Changing who you let into your energetic space. Choosing to make room for joy, not just responsibility. And it grows. A new business. A new love. A new identity that feels more aligned with your soul than anything before. Life lesson from part 5. Capricorn, rebuilding is not about erasing the past, it's about honoring it without living in it. The ruins don't define you. They prepared you. They taught you what not to repeat, what not to allow, and most importantly, what truly matters to you now. Your next chapter isn't a return. It's a reinvention. And this time, it's yours fully, unapologetically, and permanently. Part 6. A new kind of love, one that doesn't ask you to sacrifice your soul. Capricorn. You've loved deeply before. You've stayed when others left. You've given more than you received. You've held space for people who couldn't hold their own pain, let alone yours. And every time love disappointed you, you told yourself, maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm too strong. Maybe I love in ways they can't understand. But here's the truth. You were never too much. You were just trying to grow gardens in people who were still afraid of sunlight. Let's be honest. You've outgrown love that needs you to disappear. You've outgrown dynamics where you shrink so someone else can feel bigger. You've outgrown being the emotional backbone while your own needs stay unspoken. And now, after everything that's fallen away, the universe is aligning something entirely new. Not a rescue, not a distraction, but a mirror. Someone who sees your complexity and doesn't run. Someone who honors your depth and doesn't misuse it. Someone who brings peace, not tension. Clarity, not confusion. Truth, not performance. This kind of love doesn't demand sacrifice. It demands presence. It doesn't ask you to prove yourself. It asks you to be fully yourself. It doesn't survive off chaos. It thrives on mutual vision. And yes, it will feel different. At first, it may even feel uncomfortable. Because when you're used to emotional labor disguised as connection, true intimacy feels foreign. But stay with it. Let it unfold. Let it be easy. Let it be earned, not extracted. Let me tell you what this love will look like for you now. It won't rush in like a storm. It will arrive like sunrise, slow, steady, undeniable. They'll want to know what makes you tick. Not to use it, but to protect it. They won't compete with your power. They'll celebrate it because they have their own. They won't disappear when you set a boundary. They'll lean in not to cross it, but to understand it. And when you speak, they won't just hear you. They'll listen deeply. Because your words won't just be sound, they'll be sacred. This love doesn't save you. You've already saved yourself. This love joins you, walks beside you, grows with you. And most importantly, it will not feel like sacrifice. It will feel like home. Life lesson from part 6. Capricorn, love is not supposed to feel like a performance. It's not supposed to be something you earn by being useful. Real love meets you where you are and then walks with you to where you're going. You don't need to fix people anymore. You don't need to tolerate confusion. You don't need to prove your worth. Because this time, Capricorn, love doesn't cost you your soul. It recognizes it. And that changes everything. Part 7. Legacy and Light, Why You Were Chosen to Lead Others Through the Dark. Capricorn, let's set something straight. You were never here just to survive. You were never here just to build for others. You were born with a blueprint encoded in your soul, and that blueprint is leadership. Not the loud kind, not the attention-seeking kind, but the kind that whispers truth in chaos. The kind that walks first, not because it wants to be followed, but because someone has to break the trail. And that someone is you. All those betrayals, all those quiet nights you spent questioning your worth, all the burdens you carried in silence, they weren't punishments, they were preparation. Because real leaders don't emerge from comfort. They are forged in fire. You've walked through fire, Capricorn. Not once, not twice. Your whole life has been a series of initiations. Every loss, every disappointment, every why me, all of it shaped you into someone who doesn't just understand pain, but can transform it. You're not just here to live well. You're here to guide. People are watching you now, even if they don't say it. They see your resilience. They feel your groundedness. They're drawn to your clarity, your ability to keep moving forward even when everything seems to fall apart. You are their proof that survival isn't the goal. Elevation is. And make no mistake, the universe chose you for this role. Because you're not shaken easily. You don't speak unless it's meaningful. You don't lead from ego, you lead from structure, from wisdom, from truth. That's rare. That's sacred. Let me share something with you. Many Capricorns think they're being overlooked. But in reality, the universe is hiding them on purpose. Not because they're unworthy, but because they're valuable. Diamonds aren't displayed in open fields. They're buried deep, waiting to be unearthed at the right time. Capricorn, your time is now. You've passed the tests. You've been tempered. Now, you're being activated. So what does this leadership look like? It may not be a stage. It may not be applause. It may look like helping someone find calm in their storm. Building something sustainable while others chase trends. Saying the hard thing that wakes someone else up. living with so much integrity that your presence becomes a silent revolution. This is how you lead. This is how your legacy begins. And it doesn't start when you're perfect. It starts when you choose to rise again with clarity, with courage, with conviction. Life lesson from part 7. Capricorn, you weren't just meant to heal. You were meant to guide. You carry codes of ancient wisdom. You understand time, effort, and long-term vision in a way others don't. That's why the path was never easy, because easy doesn't sharpen a leader. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to light the way for the right ones. Lead quietly. Lead honestly. Lead by example. And the world will follow not your voice, but your truth. Part 8. Conclusion. You were never broken, you were becoming. Capricorn. Now that you've seen what was hidden, now that the truth has been exposed, and the silence broken, I want you to hear this clearly, with every cell in your being. You were never broken. You were becoming. Becoming more discerning. Becoming more whole. Becoming more you. What felt like abandonment was protection. What felt like betrayal was redirection. What felt like the end was the beginning of something far more aligned with your true self. You didn't just survive this. You alchemized it. This isn't just a shift in your relationships. This isn't just about who lied, who fell, or who finally revealed their truth. This is about you. The version of you who no longer settles. The version who no longer trades peace for connection. The version who builds not from fear, but from vision. Because here's what you now know, deep in your bones. Not everything deserves your loyalty. Not everyone earns your silence. And not all closeness is sacred. But you are sacred. Your time, your truth, your energy, your presence. They're no longer on sale. This moment is more than closure. It's coronation. You've crossed a threshold, the one most people never even get to. The place where pain becomes power. Where clarity becomes compass. Where identity becomes anchor. You are no longer building on broken ground. You are designing a life where your soul finally fits. So let the past fall away. Let the lies dissolve. Let the masks drop. Because what's ahead of you is a life built on truth, love, legacy, and inner peace. You were never meant to live a life of quiet endurance. You were meant to rise with purpose, with precision, with power. Life lesson from the journey. Capricorn, you were never here just to belong. You were here to become a lighthouse for those still lost at sea. Everything that fell apart fell into place. Every ending was coded with a higher beginning. You are not who you were. You are so much more. Own that. Live that. Lead with that. Now I turn it over to you, Capricorn. If this message touched your soul, I want you to type this in the comments. I was never broken. I was becoming. And if you're ready to continue this journey of truth, power, and transformation, subscribe to this channel, Zodiac Secrets Revealed. Because this is just the beginning of a new era and you were meant to lead it. I'll see you in the next revelation.